It is good to be evil. A slogan many gamers in their 30s or older will remember from the times playing the famous Dungeon Builder, Dungeon Keeper and Dungeon Keeper 2. Since then, many have tried to clone this iconic game with varying degrees of success. The truth is you cannot just clone a classic game, but trying it, you will always fail. You will need to find your own way and build up your fan base and legacy. Calypso Media and Realm Forge Studios have achieved this goal, and while it took a little bit to find their groove, with Dungeons 3 and the latest successor Dungeons 4, they managed to hit a certain nerve in the dungeon builder genre. Once more, in Dungeons 4, the absolute evil and its well-trusted servant Thalya, a dark elf, is roaming the under and the overworld, eradicating all of what is left from this gross, flowery and colorful good-infested world. You will witness the fate of the last unicorn and an ever-ongoing feud between Thalya and her awful good stepbrother.
These sequences with me in a cage are being stretched out far too long here. Can't we talk this out somehow?
All of this is seasoned with jokes throughout, gently teasing modern gaming and pop culture while holding up a mirror to our beloved digital world, remaining self-critical and not taking itself too seriously.
And so the story ends. We'll tell you how the story continues in overpriced microtransaction bites. Oh, wait, wrong script. That's a different developer.
The art style of Dungeons 4 is a visual treat, making even your dungeon and the dark side of the overworld look pleasant to your eye. Dungeons 4 is not only a dungeon builder though. Realm Forge managed to throw in a very good portion of real-time strategy, making it enjoyable to explore the overworld and command your troops to take direct action against the dangers of the good side. I mean, who needs to fortify the dungeon if you can take care of the good minions directly at their roots? Although Dungeons 4 is nearly a year old, the dedicated team at Realm Forge and Calypso Media has worked tirelessly to bring this gem to the Nintendo Switch, a console that, despite being released in 2017, continues to thrive among casual gamers. So it is about time to dive in once more and see if the always gaming evil can also succeed on a handheld console that's almost 7 years old. Spoiling right away, Dungeons 4 Nintendo Switch comes as the deluxe edition and offers Thalya a wonderful new outfit, the princess dress.
I'm Thalya, destroyer of the Mushroom Kingdom.
An outfit which will hopefully also be released for PC at some point. I mean, if the devs are listening to this, I love to collect cosmetics, please make it available at some point. Apart from that, you will have access to all the missions you would also experience in the PC version of the game. No missions or cutscenes were cut or edited for the sake of being run on the Nintendo Switch, which is in my opinion a good sign. What worries me though is the controller support. The Joy-Cons are obviously supported and the Nintendo Pro controller works very well. Though I have never really played many RTS games except for Command & Conquer or SimCity on the Nintendo platform back then, and I thought they were a nightmare. Surprisingly, using a controller on Dungeons 4 works relatively well, apart from a hiccup at the beginning where my brain couldn't figure out how to use the action wheel to use Thalya's special abilities. Everything else goes sort of fluid. Maybe just a little hint could be added just for people like me who all of a sudden get a brain freeze. What feels slightly complicated though is dragging selections to either dig out or build a new room, a thing though that I would have expected. Obviously a controller is not as precise as a mouse, however the world is not falling into, well, let's say order and goodness due to this. Realm Forge did a good job of integrating the controller into the gameplay. You might need to get used to some actions, but after learning them once, they are like riding a bicycle, pretty much straightforward and becoming a second nature. If you're worried the game got easier and slower to compensate controller usage, nothing has changed at this point. Also uncut and not changed are the voice lines of all our beloved characters.
I found it quite pleasant not to have someone constantly interrupting me.
I will ignore your insolence for now.
Our narrator, for example, in English is of course again Kevin Brighting with his well-modulated BBC style of voice, and honestly Realm Forge and Calypso did have a good feeling for the selection of the narrators and other characters' voices in both English and German. Only remark here, the game is very German from the humor. Might not be always something for your English-speaking people, but give it a try at least. Now we have to talk about something. As said before, the Nintendo Switch is already 7 years old and games have developed over time. Would be bad if not. Which brings me to the next point. When playing Dungeons 4, I do feel how the Nintendo Switch has to fight slightly with the game. Missions do sadly take a while to load, and sometimes higher quality graphical assets are being loaded in late. Smaller compromises and graphical details, especially in 3D models and visual effects, had to be made. You will see this if you zoom in completely, but honestly, if you're not focused on the finer graphical details, you'll barely notice. However, more important, Dungeons 4 does run fluently, and during my test I didn't experience any crashes or freezes. Honestly, if that is the only thing I have to complain about, I can tell the team behind Dungeons 4 did a great job on porting this game to that small Nintendo Switch. So what is left? Obviously, multiplayer. Yes, the Nintendo Switch edition has multiplayer, even though I wasn't able to test it, as I don't have any friends available playing Dungeons 4 with me, so I can only paraphrase what I was being told. The Nintendo Switch edition supports crossplay throughout all platforms, except for Sony. The host can exist on the Switch or any other platform, except for Sony. For example, you can play Switch-to-Switch co-op multiplayer if you like. However, as it is Nintendo, you as a Switch user will require a Nintendo Online subscription to play online. That's the only thing to consider, and that Sony is not available in crossplay, I think that's a Sony thing. And if you like, the new DLC, The Good, the Bad and the Evil, is also available on Nintendo Switch with a discount during the launch week. In the end, Dungeons 4 on the Switch delivers a surprisingly solid dungeon building and real-time strategy experience. It may not be 100% perfect, but for a newer game on a 7-year-old console, it holds up very, very well. So grab a blanket, get cozy during the cold days, and dive into the dark side once more. If I had to rate, I would give this port a well-deserved thumbs up. That's all I have to say about Dungeons 4. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment about just anything. Could be on the game, could be your favorite dish, or could be Thalya's outfit. Please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a horribly evil one.
The little snot's idleness ended abruptly as the motivating evil returned.